Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's good to have you all here once again for Season 8 of the Tuesday Night Championship and for the penultimate round. It's going to be pretty exciting tonight, I can already tell you. My name is Ben Satswood, aka Sappytron. Tonight, I will be your guide. It's good to have everyone here in the chat as well. I see a few friendly names and also everyone who has decided to join us once again. Now, we have much to talk about, folks. We have much to get to. Important things to get out of the way first. Of course, we already said it. It's the penultimate round. And this championship has had some serious winners and some serious battles throughout this season, start to finish. Now, we will, of course, be going trackside in just a moment. We have currently got the drivers going and getting themselves prepared for practice and sort of final practice. But we need to talk about the track itself. Tonight is, of course, the Red Bull Ring. You can see the title. It's Austria, and it's a bit of a unique one. Because of the way that the track is laid out, it does lend itself to some really good battles and some really good overtaking, particularly in Sectors 1 and 2. Sector 3, it tends to mellow itself out, but Turn 1, Turn 3, and even a little bit of Turn 4 and 5, you can get a lot of action going into those areas of the track. So, first things first, we need to talk about the standings, and we will get that right on screen for you now as we go through the spotters guide at the same time. First off, looking to our lovely gold class, Liam Blom continues to lead and has been a dominant force in the season throughout his entire stint with us here at SIMseniors. 247 points to be exact. Closely followed by Frederick Guillemard, 23 points behind with 224. Jimmy Engdahl is your third place runner and it's a teammate of the Nismo up in first with 208 points. And that is your podium as well as everyone else you can see on screen. Of course, first impressions were very different to what we have now in terms of the standings. We've had some great battling up and down the grid and I'm looking forward to seeing more of that out here tonight. Moving on to the silver now. We have Thomas Linatus with a surge to the front of the grid in that Audi R8, looking like an absolute delight to behold and a great race, or great racer that we have seen in the 4 really come to light now. So this will be certainly a championship where he's proven his worth. Alongside Richard Cook, 10 points behind with 202, and James Payton with 198 points, so 4 points away himself. Finally, in the bronze class, we have Alex North in the Aston Martin with 217 points, and has been a sort of silent triumph throughout the whole season. I know most of the eyes have been cast towards the gold and the silver, but the bronze has had just as amazing of a set of battles. They have had 217 points as well as 194 points from Iro just behind, and 183 from Carl Thompson in the Nismo in the third. Before we continue as well, folks, it is worth mentioning that I am recovering from a bit of illness, so if I do have moments where I sort of stop or pause, or maybe you can hear a little bit of strain in my voice, that's just where I'm still recovering. It's quite painful to talk at the moment with my throat in its current condition. Just for transparency's sake, you're still going to have a great night here tonight, still going to have a great show, but in the interests of everyone knowing, if there are any breaks in the commentary, that is why. Now, we will be heading trackside in less than a minute for qualifying, but this is where I want to hear from you as well, folks. In that live chat, let us know who you're rooting for. We're coming to the final stages of the championship here. And with the final stages coming through, this is going to be make or break. This is do or die time for the racers right now. And this is where it really matters. You're going to have the drivers really having to perform at nothing short of their best, their absolute best here. So we will be seeing really what these drivers are capable of at the limit. So we'll wait eagerly to see who can bring that out to the fore. 10 seconds until we go trackside for qualification. And right away, I can see something very interesting. We're about to go trackside. Let's have a quick look. And what do we see? We see a wet course. A wet course, folks. This is certainly spicing up right now. So yeah, just coming up to the end of practice. We're on board with Craig Morrison, but it is an absolute downpour here in Austria. This is certainly going to be a challenge the drivers were not expecting. You go into these thinking that you're going to have optimal conditions. But medium rain for the whole event, as reported by Necro. Also seeing some good love in the chat. You can see special wishes for McNair, Lenatus, and Hebert. Good luck, Lenatus, as well. Saying another one coming out. Same for Colin. There you go. A few favourites. Few crowd favourites coming through. But there we go. Session now getting underway. And immediately on the jump, everyone you can see surging to get themselves out there, get themselves into a decent quali spot. We're going to just hide the tower for the time being. Oh, a little bit of a kick on the rear there. I think that was from Carl Thompson. And immediately quicken their way out. It is going to be Dave Marsh leading the queue. Just managing to beat our kit in terms of first times. Lenatus, he's just managed to get out ahead. If there's one thing we know that Audi for, it's getting the jump on the competition and being the trend setter on the timing. Our 15-minute quali, 16-minute race. That is 6-0 with a mandatory pit stop. So already, even in this session alone, the pressure is on. Cannot afford to wait a second here. You need to get out there fast. Like right now with Marsh. Even just 10 points on his rivals can leapfrog him as far as 4 positions on the standings. So if there's one time he needs to get this right, it's got to be now. See the spray kicking up. And now he's balancing the car. Here we go, riding on board with the Porsche as they start their lap. First lap of this session officially into the first corner. A little bit of uphill. Use that traction to their advantage. You can see how they're having to modulate their throttle, modulate their speed through this sector of the course. We're already getting a couple of local yellows coming for drivers who are trying to balance their laps out. I think that's Craig Morrison. You see running very slow through turn 3 in particular. You haven't really got the aero to help you out at those lower speeds. So your mechanical grip levels are going to be low, even on the wet compounds. What you make up for in the redirection of water and the avoidance of aquaplaning, you lose in contact patch and in grippiness. Because the water's also taking a ton of heat out of those tyres, so they need to work in that narrower window. A little bit of quick tyre science there, but coming up to the last sector and the start-finish line soon. Marsh into the penultimate corner, cruises it round about 135 k's, now down into the final. Very careful of the track limits on the exit there. Takes the apex quite nicely, keeps it within bounds. Of course, can't push too much because those are like ice rinks on the edge of the circuit. Those curves are lethal. 134.8 coming in from Dave Marsh. Lenatus just behind with a 35 flat. Justin Cutler's going to leapfrog him. 34 flat coming in from Jimmy Engdahl. Lindblom is actually lining up here for a run, so we're going to come back to him. We have Rog Disbikes coming through the second sector and into the third. Having dealt with a little bit of traffic up ahead of them, they haven't had the opportunity to get away in the same manner as some of the others, but time's coming through now. We're seeing 134s sparingly at the top end. Top 3 have all got a 134. The rest of them, 135s on average. Couple of 36s and 37s. Let's get that timing tower board. Now that we have got some times up there, and you can see here comes Rog through and across the line here. It will be a P12, 36.6, so good runnings there. Gamar's coming now and is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Of course, second in the Gold Championship, and the number 208 Mustang is looking like an absolute weapon. Keeps it nice and composed. Currently on track for the fastest. Let's see if he can hold this one together. Engdahl is the time to beat with a 34.0. Going through a bit of mathematics, a bit of permutations. There could be a chance for some drivers to be sealed into a championship or sealed out. It could go either way. We'll discuss that a little bit later. But Guillemot, I think, has messed up and has invalidated in that last sector, so he's not going to be taking this one home, despite it potentially being in the 133s in that sort of hallowed zone. Carl Thompson now coming through, wobbly exit out of the penultimate corner, but keeps his composure together throughout this next one. 33.3 from Lindblom is going to be our new fastest time to beat. Thompson with a great jump as well, up into 35.4 and into P12 as Ostrashars just comes across the line a little bit further away and takes that one underneath the noses. Got another driver people have been rooting for. Here's McNair. Coming up to the start-finish line. Coming up to the line now. Looking good. It's a P6. Though not to be outdone, Oskari Herme. 133.7. So, another driver who has put down some serious pace. Lindblom, though, not content with his 33.3. Wants to push that further. Wants to make that an even more aggressive run. Coming through. 33.297 come from Jimmy Engdahl is the teammate. So, of course, the championship leader. Can they fight this one? Coming out of the final corner. 30 point... Oh, there we go. 33.1. Quick on the mark. And very impressive indeed. Here comes Carl Thompson. Getting a bit of an improvement themselves, 35.3, but not enough to make a position. Also have Guillemot going for another attempt here. Of course, being on par for a pole time, but just not locking it in the final. We're coming up to halfway through qualifying now. And the question remains, who will be on top? From each class as well. So far, Lindblom is your leader for gold. Peyton is your leader for silver. And then Carl Thompson is your leader for bronze. We have 23 cars out here tonight. So a little bit thinner on the ground than we're maybe used to seeing. Yeah, we're not seeing everyone that we were maybe planning to have. Yeah, no Heber, unfortunately, here tonight. I don't see him on the timesheets. But coming through, Guillemot gets a 33.497, so he's going to be in third spot. There's also a couple of improvements dotted around the boards. Let's check in with another couple. Let's check in with Craig Morrison coming through in the number 213 McLaren. Into the penultimate corner and into the final now. Careful on those curbs too much and you could settle yourself backwards. But up to the line, 35.4. Up into P14 and second in the group. Lenatus continues to impress. That's going to be a 34.4. And the Audi up into the lead of silver. There's one person who knows how to dazzle in quali. It's this guy. We do have some more drivers who are pushing their envelopes. Randy Zimmer coming up to the line. 34.8. No improvement on position, but much closer to James Payton now. Much more convincing P4. We also had Engdahl looking like they went into the pits. They RTP'd following an unsuccessful run. Payton himself got a bit of an improvement, so maybe looking to issue some of that gap off. We also have another couple of cars who are pushing as well. People like current Bronze Championship leader, Alex North. Half a second up, but fourth in quali. Time to beat Carl Thompson, who stands 0.4 of a second away. If they keep this up, this current delta, they will be within the chance. Will be within the chance of taking the pole for their respective group. And we have seen Alex continues to be a strong performer in the race, but quali, at least to my knowledge, hasn't always been his strongest suit. Let's see if that changes, though, with a wet shake-up. Good rotation through the final corner. Thompson currently in the pit, so he's not looking to push it at this point and set a new time. But here comes Alex North, and just like that, 35 flat. New fastest. Well, Lindblom has set a 32.862. He's got to push that envelope even further. Speaking of, he certainly knows how to push the limits on pace. That is ridiculous. That's insane to me. Here goes Justin Cutler. 33.6 potential. Second row. And he gets it. 33.662. Nicely done from the Nismo driver. You know, I think you would have thought I'd get used to some drivers piloting new cars for this season, but I'm still not used to it. I am still not used to it, ladies and gentlemen. The crazy thing to me is that some drivers are so synonymous with cars, for me. Because they've run that car for so long. It's like Paul Hamby. I think of him synonymously with the Huracan. I struggle to think of him for anything else, so every time I see him in that McLaren, I struggle. I really do struggle. It's just food for thought. Yeah, so we'll see who can push a little bit further in these final 3 minutes. Of course, the adverse conditions, and that was my mistake earlier. I did not realize that they were pre-prescribed. They were pre-agreed on prior. So that would make sense with the reduced count of drivers tonight. I think some have elected to take this round as their drop, as rightly pointed out in the chat. But still, great push from many drivers out there. Smith doing very well. P3 in the bronze. That is, in fact, I think his highest grid position on qualifying. We'll see continued aggression around the field as everyone's trying to set themselves up for now their final laps. There's always improvements on the cards. Here comes Björklund. Gets a position up on Colin. Good improvement from the Mustang. Oh, looks like there has been a bit of a mishap with Cutler and Marsh. They both triggered local yellows. Another driver to watch, Andy Aldhouse. He's half a second up in that Ferrari. Let's see what he can do. The flying tic-tac. Oh, never mind. He's taken a bit too much throttle there. I think lift-off oversteer in the rain. Either way, he's going to be relegating himself to the runoff. A little bit of gravel there. Gonna have to take that one on the chin. And go one more time. Hope his tyres that are cleaned up. A few more races to keep an eye on. Here's Craig Niesbeck. Making up a bit of time. Not quite in that proximity to get those times improved in 2 positions. Currently a second up on his previous, which put him in a 35.5. That will put him ahead of Iro. But at this rate, just Iro. Racers at the top end. He's seeing where they can push more. But only GMR is out from that top 5. Hermé coming across the line for the final time and going into the pits. So many of the top end of drivers have elected not to go again. So it's just the mid-pack basically. Niesbeck gets across the line and pushes himself into P17. He's leapfrogged Iro, Andy Aldhouse and Craig Morrison. So great work from him there. Last couple of drivers now pushing their way through, heading into the pits as qualifying has officially come to an end, folks. We see as McNair retiring his entry. Lenatus comes across the line. Guermar, don't know if he's going for one more run here. Looks like he's committed. Looks like he is committed to it. Hughes and North heading into the pits. Aldhouse a second down and having just invalidated. That's his time in the sun over. And now final run here from Guermar. Last car on the track. Last car now coming through. Wick sweep. Was not actually gaining much in the way of time. It's not actually gaining all that much. He's down by about 0.5 of a second. There he goes, pushing with all of his might through that penultimate corner. You can see I was really trying to leverage the edge of the throttle. But unfortunately, it's not to be. He's 0.2 down. And that is game over. And that is where we draw the session to a close for the time being. So, Liam Blom is your leader in the golds. Closely followed by Jimmy Engdahl and Frederick Guermar in third. Despite no improvement, he's still strong enough to get that third position. Following into that, the silvers. It's going to be Lenatus in the silver pole position. And then Adam Ostrachaz in the second place spot in that M4, with the third being taken up by James Payton. So really strong roster from the bronzes as we're getting to as well. Carl Thompson taking the top honours. Alex North is going to be in second despite a really strong run earlier. He got just about displaced by a few tenths of a second, crucial few tenths. And 0.5 second further, it's going to be Peter Smith. So great running from all of the competitors. And with that, we are going to be preparing ourselves for the now 60-minute race. Let's see what these drivers have to offer, as the field has certainly shown its strength already. We're just going to wait for the session to go trackside, and then once we do, we will take a proper walk through the grid and see exactly how the field does it. We've seen a couple of other drivers being rooted for, rooting for Niesbeck, so there you go. Got your fans, Niesbeck, out there if you're watching this in post, or have this on in the background. But really am excited to see how this race plays out. That thinner grid is going to affect things, but I think the rain will still bring plenty of action.
Alright, there's rain in this session, so watch out for slippery curves and remember to brake earlier.
There you go. There is the official guidance from the pit wall. Say, be careful of the curbs, lift off earlier, exercise good control. Now, it's time to get that grid walk going, folks. Let's see what this field is showing us. And in the 4, it's going to be Liam Blom in the number 888 car. with Jimmy Engdahl lining up alongside in the number 443 Nismo. Two Nismos taking the front row. Third place is going to go to a Mustang. It's the number 208 Mustang of Frederick Gamer, and really good showing from him at that. Second row is going to be completed by another Nismo, this time from Justin Cutler. It's a strong force to be reckoned with, promoted from silver in Season 7, and now here in the number 35. Dave Marsh, number 27 Porsche, rocking that iconic livery, of course, closely followed by Oscari Herme in the number 169 Ferrari. Row 3. Row 4 is going to go to the leader of silver. That's going to go to Thomas Lenatus in the number 12 Audi, closely followed by the number 13 Nismo, fittingly adorned with Iron Brew and SIMseniors badging. It's the owner himself. It's going to be Colin McNair in the 13. Nicholas Björklund is going to complete row 5 along with Adam Ostrachars in the number 444 Wolfpack Mustang and the number 74 BMW M4 GT3 with a great colour scheme to boot. Row 6 is going to be opened up by James Payton and is number 248 Mercedes AMG and another Nismo, this time the 774 of Carl Thompson with a very official looking and say very classy Nismo Racing livery. Randy Zimmer is going to be in your row 7 in the number 141 Ferrari with Alex North second spot just behind Carl Thompson, figuratively and now literally, in the number 207 Aston Martin. Some very classic livery choices there. Row 8 now. Mark Hughes in the 495 Ferrari and then Peter Smith in the number 113 McLaren lining up alongside with a very nice shade of blue, might I add. Last few cars now we're coming to Craig Niesbet in that royal purple and lime McLaren. Is the number 331 along with Craig Morrison in the McLaren Shadow 213 720S. A very official looking. Closely following behind that and completing the 10th row, it's Andy Althouse in the number 138 Tic Tac Ferrari and Iro in the, I believe, one of the only Porsches just ahead of the last couple at the back end. He's in a very sleek looking number 992 GT3R. Number 420 is going to go to the most vibrant looking. It is Roger Dismiquez. And then Robert Homer in the last Porsche of the round is going to be in the number 6 alongside Richard Cook in the 182 with Pink Panther looking Ford Mustang. And there you go, folks. That is the grid walk complete. And with that, formation lap now underway. 60-minute race, mandatory pit stop, fuel required, tyres recommended. We'll say recommended. Although, I'm not sure if tyre wear is as crucial of a factor on a wet circuit like this. You will still have to pit in, so in my opinion you might as well swap, especially considering these technical conditions, or these conditions are not getting any better. You might as well get the best chance with the best rubbers. But we've seen many drivers take liberties with their pit strategy due to there being no fixed pit window and no stint timer that restricts you aggressively. There we go, after getting a bit of burns and some wheel spin to cook those tyres up. Oh, there you go, a bit of feedback. Say, fine without tyre change, no issues. So, tyre changing, much less of a factor here and much more viable to go on the same set all the way to the end. Minimal time losses. Ultimately, it's driver's call as they go up double file. This is the penultimate round of the championship, folks. This is where it gets serious. This is where it gets hot. As we round the final corner for the second to last time, maybe a downpour and maybe icy cold. The track is indeed hot for round 9 of the SIMseniors Tuesday Night Championship. Season 8 is about to fire up one more time. And with that, race control. It is green. It is go. Let's go racing immediately. Lindblom with a great jump out the gate. Jimmy Angdahl getting a little bit caught unawares. Guillemot already going out round the side to try and press an advantage. Multiple cars going extremely wide, fighting for traction. There's chaos further down. You can see cars floundering in these wet conditions, trying to find a grip, and that grip is not coming. There's side-by-sides up and down the course. There's everyone trying to get any chances that they can get for position. Here's Peyton around the side of Thompson, trying to get a bit more speed around the outside. There's contacts being made left and right. The incident feeds are pouring in now as we speak. And oh no, look at that further down. It's ping pong. It's chaos. Cars left and right being spun and into the walls. Absolute nightmare. Look at this. This is a minefield. It's devastation. It is absolute devastation out here. Where do you even begin? We got to get a replay of that, folks. So this is exactly what happens. Let's take it on board with the helicopter. So we're on board with Mark Hughes right now in his perspective. So he taps on the back of Björklund. That goes into a spin. That goes even further. And then you can see multiple cars getting affected. Concertina effect. That's going to be absolutely brutal. That's us into Craig Morrison. I believe you had 8 cars involved in that pile-up here, folks. You can see all the way down to Hero. I think Robert Homer managed to get out mostly unscathed. Absolute anarchy. Anarchy up and through. We're already seeing even more cars have a potential squabble and struggle. Here comes Randy Zimmer on the back of Thompson as Peyton's already pressed the advantage. Is the Ferrari going to do the same? 1 becomes 2, becomes 3. Getting into turn 3. An aggressive sweep. Peyton is going to hold the line as Thompson is going to be stuck at a bit of a loss. We have 4 cars and that bottom end pitting in. And we'll see even more racers trading spots. That's McNair dropping to Cutler. Out of turn 5. I think after the chaos that was the opening lap, everyone just wants to get their own space in the course. They don't want fighting anymore. I mean, Hughes does. He's gone right down the inside of Roger here. Clearly, Hughes has other ideas, but it's displaced him quite quickly. I think Roger's severely affected by damage. Not even 5 minutes in. Already seen absolute chaos. Here we go. Let's get the full complement of data back on screen. As we can now see in full. Yeah, the timing was broken for a little bit, but I managed to get it working in the background. So let's get that speedometer off now. Yeah, for some reason it did not want to sync back with the session. Apologies for that one. You see Morrison, Aldhouse, Björklund and Smith all in the pits right now repairing for damage. You can see wounded cars. Absolutely brutalized. Smith is now making it out along with Morrison. But they have got a tough road ahead of them. No such thing as an easy time here. Especially in this company, with everyone now just trying to find their own pocket of the course. They will not take kindly to attacks. Saying that though, here comes Zimmer. Going on to a swing for the inside, but retreats. Thompson on the outside, Cutler on the inside. That could get messy. It's the 774 car. Has to stay within the bounds on the last corner. Zimmer keeps it nice and narrow though. allows the space and now has a drag race with the Nismo into the first corner. Nismo had a little bit more speed and it is going to try and cover off on the racing line. That could end in tears as the narrowing of the corner executes. That's going to be Zimmer still holding firm, getting a bit more speed on the outside, a bit of curbing, throwing Thompson off on the exit approach. Zimmer goes up ahead to try and cover off the Nismo into turn 3, looking to block him off, and excellently done. Nice, ideal line, even in the wet. Zimmer has got control. He's got control of the situation, and has done so quite elegantly, I might add. Here we go, here comes McNair looking to play a bit of a similar story. You may have two flutes, but do they really sound the same? Is McNair going to have the same luck as Zimmer? Now, this is Nismo v Nismo as well, so you're going to have a case of equal footing. You don't have that sort of rotation that the Ferrari benefits from. You do have that grip up. They do have that sort of bump grip, but you're not going to have that same rotating ability like you would with the Ferrari normally. Oh, a little bit too much rotating, in fact. Losing a bit of stability on the rear. Now, don't get me wrong, a bit of rear instability is actually good. And then saying that, really good exit from Thompson. He's going to go and retake into the first corner. Solid attack there from the Nismo up ahead. And now Zimmer is kind of pocketed in between the two. Richard Cook is now headed into the pits as well. We just got the confirm. That's going to be McNair. Just using a superior speed to get round. Zimmer tried to go on the inside, but really it wasn't much of use. And the both of them are now actually getting away at quite a substantial pace. We do have, meanwhile, further up front, so that is Oscari Herme. Was previously within a couple of tenths, but now has dropped away to about a second. Also have Justin Cutler, who are on board with right now. Another Nismo in the pack, just ahead of Thompson by about 3 seconds. It's on the back of the Mercedes. Looking like a sweeper. Could be something on the cards here. If he keeps the pressure up, Peyton might make a mistake, and that's his chance to strike. We do see a couple of local yellows coming out here, however, and that could have been ending in tears. Craig Morrison, let's take a bit of a replay and see exactly what happened. So it looks like they just overshot that final corner and now have paid the price for it, unfortunately. Let's see here. Let's look into real time. We briefly looked at Ira and Mark, but now let's see those fights continue. As Alex North has taken a bit of a rearward swing. Ira goes very wide, unfortunately, heading into the first corner. That is Mark's golden opportunity, and one that he's going to take with no hesitation. Easy move into the first corner, and enough distance to cover him off. Also see a bit of a story forming as Cutler is keeping within about half a second, but isn't really getting the chance to go on the attack. Oh, however, that is a bit of contact, it seems, between McNair and Thompson. So now Thompson going into the sand, into the gravel, has dropped significant time to the Iron Brew Nismo. Dave Marsh could be another driver to watch as he's on the side of Ostrachaz as we speak. Don't know why that timing board refuses to pop up half the time I press the button. I do apologise, folks. Okay, looking like a bit of a troublesome challenge coming through. We do have confirmation we're down to 22 cars as well. As about 3 minutes ago, we lost Andy Aldhouse. He bowed out owing to the initial collision. I think he's just deciding tonight, not for him. And understandably so, given that rough introduction to the race. Don't exactly blame him for making that call. But that being said, with the rain coming in and now 10 minutes into the race, we already have a lot of cars who have split themselves out. The closest of a gap you're going to find is right here, all between Alex North and Randy Zimmer, who will check in with right now. On board the splitter advantage. Be peeking the inside, looking at the back of that Ferrari, trying to gauge its weaknesses. There's no major crosswind, but you can see the spray is introducing some visibility questions. Ferrari doing a great job of just holding to their line, though. And actually keeping a fairly firm racing line. As we did see briefly, yellow flag coming out last with Justin Cutler. I think he just overextended on the rear segment of the second sector. So local yellow coming out there. Bit of invalidations coming through across the field. Remember, too many track limits violations. You will be slapped with a penalty. You will get slapped with one. Of course, we have got multiple tools that we're tracking. I'm using ACC TV, but I'm also using race control simultaneously to try and keep a better track of the penalties being served and sent to the drivers on the ground. Let's check back in with North and see what he's up to. Immediately, a big takeaway is that he's not looking to take this one quietly. He's not looking to let Zimmer just hold on to 12th like that. He needs to get past because his real rival is 3 seconds further away. It's going to be Carl Thompson. That's where his real challenge is and his real opponent. He does not want to let this one go that easy. Oh, we jump on just as we see Guillermo taking a big spin. Oh, geez, that could have ended in tears. Slow rejoin onto the track, luckily avoiding all incident we just saw in the background. Oh, that. I had my heart in my throat for a second there, folks. I can't even lie to you. I had my heart in my throat. It's just jumped to him as he's spinning. In a bit of a scary moment. And narrowly avoiding disaster with another car. Really good control and good avoiding action. Just keep an eye on Dave Marsh for a moment, as he's on the back of Austria. Now, these two have been running fairly close for a few laps now, and even came to blows a little bit earlier. But they're keeping things calm and collected. What is that, though? That is going to be Nisbet around backwards on the track, just losing control in the last corner, similar to what Guillermo did a few moments ago. Luckily, he's on his own pocket of the track, so no traffic to disturb or cause further accident. It's a lucky break there. A few different cars aiming to push. Zimmer's actually got his own pocket at the course now. It's very nice to hear, considering he was pushing quite aggressively to find his own space. Now he's got it. No stresses, no struggles. I want to send a special commendation as well to those who got involved in that initial collision. And oh no, that's Morrison. He's spun round. He's waiting for a chance to get that car rotated. Here you go, sweeps it to the inside. There you go, that's good practice. Sweep it to the inside, then you know anyone taking the racing line is going to avoid you by default. That's how you navigate an accident like that. Wait for a clear wait for a clear space in the track. Come off the racing line as much as you can, and then merge back in once up to speed. I don't want to say textbook, because the less time you can travel backwards on the course, the better. But still, good management of the situation. Always want to place an emphasis on safe drivers. Good sportsmanship. I'll check in as well on Mark Hughes. Now, Hughes has had a bit of a difficult opener. You can see that Ferrari is damaged right there, but he remains resolute. And he remains committed to the car. I think, although not as harshly as others, he was involved in that early collision as well. And in fact, I do have it on the record, on the incident log, that he was involved in that. It's between him and the number 444 car, that's Björklund. Here comes Justin Cutler. Actually closing in quite dangerously close to James Payton here. Now I'm curious as to what happens next, because Cutler is pushing Payton forward. Payton is within 2 seconds of Marsh. If Marsh doesn't pick up his A game and get past Ostrishars, he's actually going to have a bit of a tough time, because then you'll have the Mercedes and the other Nismo breathing down your neck. If not McNair, who'll be challenging his... Oh, no! That was Payton going round! What actually happened there? Was that a bit of a network issue? I do want to wonder. Let's take a replay of that. Let's take a replay from the helicam, see exactly what went on. Because it was tough to tell. I did see a bit of jarring movement. So I wonder if there was a framing issue. So here we go, going into... Oh, no. So there was actually a slow exit out from Payton, and that did result in contacts being made. Unfortunate to see, but such as the racing environment sometimes. Meanwhile, on their way through, Dave Marsh and Ostrishars continue to run close. McNair's actually overtaken Cutler throughout all of that. He cycled through not one, but two opponents. So McNair currently sits in P8. And it is the car to beat in terms of that small group. Now, he's not the car to beat in his class. That title is, of course, going to go to David Lindblom, who, no surprise, is towards the front. And he's made a bit of a home for himself up there, I think. Engdahl is going to be running about 2 seconds away, fairly close behind. And those two, in terms of their best times, got a 33.0 and a 33.4, which I think are the two fastest times on track right now. Guillermo has a 33.5, and he is your closest pace rival. However, with that incident on the final corner a few laps prior, he's all the way down in P5, and he's currently stuck in traffic. We've got Lenatus on his front that he's trying to get away from. Not to be outdone, however. Dave Marsh also making his way along with Ostrishars. Now, he's actually going to tuck in narrow. And it looks like 20 minutes in, he is going to go for his pit stop. Looks like he's going to go for an early fuel run and run as much as he needs to get to the end of the race. Curious strategy. He's going to be the first to take his proper pit stop, a non-incident related pit stop here. He is going to drop down, of course, a few positions as he's the first, but this will be his chance to displace the field and really shift the order. Oh, we did have an incident as well from a 213 car. Let's have a look at that. So this is going to be Morrison. It's Craig Morrison here, coming up to the first corner. And, yeah, just completely outbrakes himself, I think. This actually led to his retirement, so He's not going to be back on course. He will be our second retiree. Down to 21 cars now. Yeah, very bottom of the order. There's Björklund. You can see stretches all the way up and down. Guillemot's continuing to close that boundary, close that gap through. Drivers all dashing to complete their laps right now. Interestingly, a lot of drivers are actually setting personal best times. A lot of personal best times coming in now. Carl Thompson's going to be your next driver currently in the pit lane. So Dave Marsh has made his way out and he's actually ahead of Rog right now. Thompson has gone in and is currently 12th, but he's set to drop to at least, I think, be P15 by the end of the lap. Guillemot is closing in as well on Lenatus and looking to make his spot a P4. Now Thompson making his way down the order as he's in the pits. His 17th will be coming out fairly soon, I believe. There's Thompson on his out lap now, so I think he will be rejoining the track. Will he be out? I think that's Engdahl there. I think he's just beat him out. That's Lindblom, actually. That's my mistake. So Nismo's reunited and looks like parking on the apex. Carl's not going to make a very smooth line out of that. Let's check in with Guillemot, of course, once again. He remains within half a second of Lenatus. Now, Lenatus has done an immaculate job holding the line for the Silvers. He's done real great work, both in the Silver qualifying sessions. He's continued to impress up there, and also in the races. He's done a lot to convert his recent race results into some great standings. Here we are seeing some drivers really push the limits now, so the track evolution has thoroughly taken effect. Most water has been displaced and formed a semi-dry line, meaning that combined with low fuel, as eloquently pointed out in the live chat, of course, there is some massive pace available on the table there. Here goes Guillemot, though. He's going to be overtaking Lenatus here. I think Lenatus yielded a little bit, doesn't really want to fight in the same way, considering they are running different races. I think he'd much rather ride the coattails of Guillemot, let him go ahead knowing that he's itching to go for a position, and then use him to push himself forward and get more of a gap to the likes of Ostrashars, who is chasing him. Lindblom has headed into the pits, meaning that he will come out a bit lower down. But this could mark the slope downwards, as more and more cars are considering heading into the pit. 21 cars. Still a decent spread of drivers around the course. Oh, looks like there has been an issue. That is Iro on the inside of the course. I wonder, did he have a spin out? Let's actually check in. Here you go. Here's Iro Pasuri. Going through the penultimate corner. He's keeping it fairly narrow. He's avoiding the curbs where he can. And you can see he just goes a little bit too wide on the edge. And oh, that's a brutal hit to the front right quarter. certainly going to be suffering. His aero package, I mean, look at his aero package. Already was damaged before, but now he's really going to struggle to wrangle that thing. He's having trouble as it is. It's going to be a hard-fought race to make it to the end. Lindblom out of the pits, currently sat P12. Could make up some good time, use the other cars, and then when he comes out, or the others' cars come out, I should say, will remain ahead of them. Good line. Out through the second sector and holds the apex inside line. Taking charge of the corner and pushing through. Hughes could use that a little bit to his advantage. He peeks out to actually try and attack a bit. But it doesn't quite happen for him. 32.9 is the fastest lap on track, and this is from Lindblom, so he's certainly got the pace to back up that aggressive driving. Wants that early push while everything is fresh to get it into the good operating window, and of course get himself into that nice open space to be able to run his laps undisturbed. All is quiet for the most part on the course. We have got a couple of lapping cars, so I think that is going to be Richard Cook being overtaken by Colin McNair. Bit of lapped traffic and traffic management. It's the other part of racing that doesn't always go discussed or go noticed. It is that traffic management element. It is that ability to work your way around other cars and be able to navigate a rapidly evolving race situation. You're never always going to have those ideal conditions where it's just you fighting against your cars, especially when you look to something like WEC, the World Endurance Championship. You've got GT3s, you've got hypercars. Massive pace difference between the two. Massive pace difference. And that's a tough minefield to navigate. We have Cutler and Hermé now heading into the pits next to throw themselves in there. About half of the field have taken a pit stop by this stage, although the back cars, the back two, and Cook, I believe, as well, they took their pit stops early, and they took them in response to that first lap collision. So I would not hedge their bets on this being the only stop. There's Richard Cook, unfortunately, going off the road. You can see there. Bit too much. Too much punch. And off on turn 5. And he said turn 3 there. It's like, nope, wrong corner of the track, man. Wrong corner of the track. Meanwhile, McNair has actually closed in quite sharply onto Adam in the number 74 Beamer. Strachars is his next target. Just wonder how much of a fight that BMW is going to put up. Is he going a little bit narrower than his opponent? I think where you're limited so much by mechanical grip, aero grip is going to be even more of a friend. And looking after said aero grip is just as important. There's Thompson and Roger also trading. You can see down here a bit of a outside mistake, or a bit of a weak exit is going to allow Thompson to get by. You have Homer as well challenging along with Oscari. Oscari has managed to quickly get themselves around the Porsche. And then Alex North has headed into the pits. Meanwhile, McNair and Ostrachars are doing a bit of a drag race coming out of turn 3. Narrow line. Or Colin. Pushing the boundaries on that Beamer now. Road is struggling. Apologies, folks. Ooh, looks like Richard Cook's had an issue. Looks like he has gone off. They was backwards just on the inside inlay of the track. Oh no, that was on the racing surface. That was on the racing line. Ooh, okay. That could have ended in disaster, let me tell you. And annoyingly, through all of that, let's actually rewind at 30 seconds and just catch what we missed. So here we go. Here's a replay, a run-by-run replay. Austria's on the defense. There goes McNair to the back. To the left on our side, but to the right for him. You can see just how much these two are squeezing and pushing, but in the end, it's going to be McNair making a quick sweep in the penultimate corner. Nicely done indeed. Lenatus has headed into the pits. So he's going to be down in P8 at best right now, but still got a bit more time in there before he comes out and is fully cooked, ready to go back out again. At this point, most have already taken the hit. Some still considering when to go for the stop, but on the whole, fairly uniform. Homer, Dismukes, and then the top 6 yet to pit in at some point during this race. Would not be remiss to see those bottom 3 also take a second stop towards the end of the race, like we were saying earlier. Here goes Engdahl and Zimmer as well, heading into the pit lane. A lot of drivers have found their open pockets. Closest you're going to get is in fact Cutler and Lenatus running really close together. Oh, bit of a snap on the rear. Zimmer and Homer dropping behind this cohort that's just crossed the start-finish line. P10 for Cutler now, as Lenatus is still firmly in his crosshair. This is going to be Guillemot now heading into the pits also. Austria's also heading in, meaning that that is going to be a freebie for Colin. Colin's actually going to inherit the lead of the race here, in a happy turn of events. Peyton is in. Engdahl is also going to get a healthy jump in positions back now. Oscar is actually going to be in 4th after all of that, and actually riding the coattails a little bit on a certain Lindblom. Wild that Engdahl is actually coming out ahead of his teammate. I think that's certainly a cause for some question marks. I think the strategy has flipped things around a little bit right now. Now, I don't doubt this is going to give us some serious action. However, when it comes to where they started this stint on, it does make me wonder where the strategy is optimal. Where that balance lies right now. So far, it lies firmly in Engdahl's favour. That flavour of pit strategy is served him better than Lindblom's current, as he's a second behind. And is looking to push on for time right now. McNair's going to extend a little bit further in his current pocket of freedom. Rog is also going to be remaining out, meaning that he's going to be on P12 right now, but he's not going to hold it. Not going to be holding it, unfortunately, for himself. Patent on the back of said purple Porsche. Brisk movements are going to be of utmost importance. You can see there, in timing wise, Lindblom has taken a bit of a haircut off Engdahl right now, so very close proximity already. So these two will certainly run sharp. Heading into this next lap, I think we're going to see some fireworks. You're certainly going to be seeing a few fireworks coming out here. You can see Cook briefly popping into the chat while he's in the pit lane. That's how you know he's pitting. Good to have you here, my friend. There you go, get back out there, Tiger. Let's see what you can do. Show us some magic. And then a magic up at the front and the sharp end. Lindblom on the side of Engdahl. The Nismos side by side coming out turn 3. And immediately the pressure is on. The fight is on for the two. You can see these two are going to really give each other a run for their money. Engdahl holds firm on the apex of the corner. Lindblom has no choice but to stick it to the outside. Remain parallel, a little bit slower on the exit. However, he can tuck back in behind, set himself up for the next go. Into the second sector now. He peeks his nose out again, goes a little bit later, more aggressive on the brakes. Forces him out, and oh no, literally, they force each other out. I think it looks like they both make contact, locked together. And so that is going to be a yield from Lindblom as he lets Engdahl take the position back and hold on to P1, provisional P1 for a little longer. McNair, of course, being much further ahead, but yet to take a pit stop. His P1 isn't quite the same right now. But McNair is certainly pushing aggressively on his strategy and done a great job at using that extra space to get himself some headway, and I think he'll come out great on the other side of the pit stop. Anyway, the battle resumes here. Lindblom v Engdahl, the two Nismo monsters, figuratively and literally. Look at those liveries. Sweeping the way out of turn 1. Good initial impressions. Holding their stances firm. I know you can't really have stance in a race car per se, but drivers in the way that they are placing their cars are signalling intentions. Right now the intention is that Lindblom just wants to get by and as fast as possible. You can see how aggressively Engdahl's having to defend to the apex, and even so they tuck right out to the outside. Lindblom once again poking to the outer edge and actually getting quite a significant run on the inside with a great switchback into turn 5, now turn 6. Quick moves there, great aggression shown from the 888 car, but here comes Engdahl. He's not content with that move just yet. He remains on the inside for the double left-hander. Through the second sector, they go side by side once more, and a bit of a wobble coming in from Lindblom. That's going to result in Engdahl taking the spot back again. Great fighting from these two. Really excellent stuff. Now, into the last couple of corners. This is where the setup in the cycle repeats once more. 20 minutes left to go in this race, and so far tensions are high as the lead remains in flux. Up and down the field, a lot of drivers have spaced themselves out. Closest next gap is going to be Justin Cutler with 2.4 seconds. Everyone else is firmly spaced out and found their own pocket of the course. You can see on the map as well. But Liam Blom still pushing on Engdahl, trying to get the move done as quick as he can. Goes on narrow into turn 3, really pushes that nose in, and oh, he outbrakes himself. I think that was contact between the two as well, to boot. Yeah, I do believe that there was a bit of contact there, albeit very brief. Engdahl really showing his poise right now and his ability to remain calm in these aggressive situations. Lindblom is actually being given a really good run for his money. Turn 3, you can see he's outbraked himself. He's made that mistake, and Engdahl has just let him. He let him go past, and then immediately retakes the position off the mistake. That is masterclass driving right there. But they're still showing respect to each other. We saw Lindblom get locked together with Engdahl coming into that exact section of the track not too long ago. And Lindblom yielded back. He allowed Engdahl to retain the position. Self-stewarding in a way. But great fighting from the two. Now coming into lap 26 here from the pairing. It's looking just as fresh as it always was. Dismukas heading into the pits, meaning that he is one of the last pitters now successfully having gone in. All that remains is Colin McNair, who is currently leading this race by about 22.5 seconds. Annoyingly for these two, the fighting has meant that they haven't actually gained time relative to their rivals. But you can see Lindblom is taking a bit more of a conservative approach this lap. He's not running as aggressively as he previously was, and certainly not trying to overextend himself and get himself in a sticky situation. Keep calm and hold control of yourself and of the race. That's what you've got to remember here. More cars now sweeping their way through. Fairly smooth succession. Eero is making up a bit of time on Rog coming out of the pits, so we may see an exchange for P16 in a little bit. The eyes currently remain and stand on these two, considering this may decide the winner. That's going to be passing Robert Homer. A little bit of slower traffic. The blue flag rules apply. Now coming into the first corner. One more time here. A narrow, aggressive defense coming in from Engdahl. Good lines from the both of them, but Lindblom has managed to get, I think, a little bit more exit speed. They drag race each other down the straight into turn 2, now into turn 3. Lindblom on the outside, a little bit later on the brakes as well. Keeps the angle all the way round, and both of them getting a strong exit. I think Lindblom getting just that little bit more to remain parallel. Now into turns 4 and 5, pushing all the way to the apex. Engdahl remains resolute and stays on that apex line. Both of them running perfectly parallel throughout the entire lap so far. Lindblom is actually going to dip back behind a bit, but he's immediately going to get the nose out once again. He pushes aggressively on the inside. Luckily, no incidents, no ending in tears on this occasion. Here goes through into the end of the second sector, and it looks like Lindblom actually has it. A little bit more aggressive run, but not too much like last time. He's found that balance, and he's got that move. Engdahl has now been put into third place as Lindblom has taken second, but will he hold it? Let's stick on these two and find out. We'll hold firm. Looks like Engdahl, though, unfortunately, immediately loses time. Remember, Lindblom's peak pace is half a second faster than that of Jimmy. .15 minutes remain. I can see already Engdahl has been drawn out of line by about a second. So aggressive driving from Lindblom, and now aggressive push to confirm the move. Wild stuff. Now I think that we also need to remember and consider is there is a reason that Lindblom stands tall at the apex of the Gold Championship here on the Tuesday nights. There is a reason that he stands at that razor edge and at the peak of his game. He just showed us that reason. Even through a couple of mistakes, once he gets that open road, he's as good as gone. He's already 1.5 seconds now ahead in the time that's taken me to say just that. Richard Cook's now into the pits for another time here. Oh no, he's actually retaining his original pit stop. That's my mistake. So I think that is effectively a pit retirement. Going back in, and now has been in there for about 10 minutes. Minor mistake from me there, folks. Do apologise. We're sticking on board with Niesbet for the time being. 1.5 seconds away from Rog. See what he does. Might close a little bit of gap. Seems to be hovering around that 1.5 second range. Looks like Roger's gone way too deep on the outside, however. He's really struggling. He does merge back into the circuit on the final corner, but very slowly so. He's going to be dipping back not only behind Niesbet, but also getting lapped by Randy Zimmer, who you see there. Doing his best with the car underneath him, but it's not playing ball in the way that he hoped. You can see Alex North currently second in the group. And doing a pretty good job of it, all in all. He's actually kept his own pocket of the course to himself, and he's just running his laps. This is what Alex does, I think, very well in the situations like this. He finds his own space, and he just runs the distance. He just goes the distance. He makes it happen. Somewhat under people's noses. There you go. That's McNair finally into the pits now. 30 laps deep on his initial stint. And the session now coming into its final 10 minutes. The rain is still coming down quite significantly, but it is consistent. So the field is looking like it has reached a place of calm. Now the question remains of if there will be any last-minute changes to position. You can see here's Dave Marsh on the back of Colin. Now Colin did actually really well to make up time, like we were saying earlier, and he currently stands in P5. He's ahead of Dave Marsh by about half a second. But will that hold? McNair having to go a little bit defensive here at the top of the circuit or heading into the downhill. Actually coming up close. Marsh is looking at, oh, big slide there coming in from McNair. That's going to drop him some exit speed, and that could be the window of opportunity that Marsh needs. He has the apex. Having to yield a bit of space to Nismo is going to be impacted by that, but the both of them still remain in close quarters. Porsche is going to be looking fast and looking aggressive, although there's been some chaos. Nisbet has gone off, as well as Randy Zimmer. Spinning out on the apex, heading in through turn 4-5. Luckily, no casualties. But certainly damage in the talent department. The only wounds are to that of pride. Although it could have been much worse. We are getting ever closer to the end of that time now. But with the way it's all going, a serious potential for changes in the course is happening. Lindblom has been reeled into about half a second now. Could we see Engdahl actually changing and attacking back? Within 4/10 here. Engdahl is really pushing. He's not going to let this guy go without a fight. This is what we want to see. Time is of the essence. And right now, that essence is looking strong. Inner run there from the top of the circuit, making their way down. Engdahl on the aggressive against Lindblom. Lindblom not quite having the exit that they would like, but still takes command of the apex of the corner. Holds firm to the racing line. He does not want to yield. He does not want to bend over backwards to his teammate and now opponent. Rival looming in the rear view mirror as we go to the end of the second sector, now over the crest and into the final two corners of this circuit. Will he be able to hold on? Will Engdahl be able to press that attack once more? It's looking like history may be repeating himself here as Lindblom goes super aggressive on those lines, all four wheels on the curbs. He does not want to let this position go. He's extracting everything he can as if it was a dry circuit. That's the crazy thing here, folks. He does not want to yield to the point where he's driving like it's dry. He's taking inherently super risky runs. And he's making them work. Engdahl, though, is still holding on. He's still within a second and, in fact, gaining time over the course of this first straight. He draws in very close there on the back. Some ridiculous dedication here from the number 443. Crazy dedication and speed on full display. 6.5 minutes remain, but this could very well feel like an eon, like an age for these two as they continue to pressure each other to the ragged edge, to the very limit. Engdahl once again on the right side of Lindblom as they cross through into the second sector. Yet another altercation, but Lindblom is using that prior experience to full advantage. He takes the apex once again. He refuses to budge an inch, and in fact gets a pretty good run on the exit there. I think there was contact made between the two, as they are getting contact flags. I think small bump on the side. Rapid. Both of them. Absolutely rapid. And I'm living for it. I'm absolutely here for it, folks. This battle could very well sustain itself right to the very end of the race. It is not a war of position anymore. It is a war of attrition. These two cars are not only pushing each other on racing technique, they are pushing each other mentally. These are mind games. The pressure continually building. The moves being thrown left, right and centre. Here comes another one. Engdahl on the outside this time, looking to get that cut in. Great execution from Engdahl there side by side, and now has the apex into the next set of corners. This is a potential masterstroke if he can pull this off. Lindblom just with a little bit better on the exit. The both of them drag race down once again. Bit later on the brakes. Here's Engdahl once again pushing forward, but another switchback as if a return to send a Lindblom back through. Absolutely brilliant stuff from the both of them as they both now head into the second sector one more time. They exchange bows, as it were, before going again. This is without a doubt one of the fights of the season. Even if there is little it amounts to on that championship board, the adrenaline is certainly pumping. Engdahl actually yielding off a little bit, looking like they're taking suboptimal lines through this final sector. Dropping down to about 1.2 seconds gap. Not looking like they're in the best spot. They have peeled back before from this, but do they have the time? That's the crucial question. I don't know if Engdahl has the time this time to peel back 1.5 seconds. Lindblom is going to be driving more aggressively than he ever has in order to try and get some space. He's not going to be taking that attack and challenge lightly. He's going to want to do everything in his power to get away. 1.4 seconds is no laughing matter. As Engdahl could very easily snap that up. We've seen him do it once before. And even when trailed to about a second in just that battle a few moments ago, he reeled him back in again. But let's see what he does. Now 3 minutes left on the clock, about 2 laps remaining. Looks like Lindblom is keeping a consistent about a second gap, although Engdahl is slowly snapping away at that. He's back within a second once more. Very good second sector exit, and sector 3 also looking strong. Within half a second again. Here comes Carl Thompson as well, coming into the second and third corners. Was very close, but doesn't look like they've held the gap to the back of James Payton. Had a bit of an issue on the turn 1 exit. Now these two reunite. One more squabble. This could be the decider of the winner of the race, folks. Let's keep it tuned right here. Engdahl within a couple of crucial tenths on the back of Lindblom, closing in so close to the rear bumper. Just avoiding. Just narrowly avoiding that space there. I think the season is yet mathematically sealed. We do have a yellow flag, local yellow coming out from Iro, as they have had a bit of a hiccup further down the line into the penultimate corner, I imagine. But it's almost a bit of a concertina effect between these two. You see, they run very close. Engdahl has to brake a little bit more to compensate, and that's what's drawing him away and keeping him at bay with half a second on his clock. 0.4 of a second separate the two currently. Now, reminder of points in the golds, folks. Lindblom with 247, Guillemard with 224, Engdahl right here with 208. So 39 points. And oh no, that's the grass! That was a wobble on the grass for Engdahl. That's drawn him out to 1.2. He's dropped almost an entire second from that tiny mistake on the start-finish straight. That is a deal breaker. And we're on the final lap as well. He needs to pull out a miracle if he wants to close that gap again. He's trying with all his might to close in once more, but don't know if he's going to have the magic. Don't really know if he's going to have it this time. He pulled it back twice, but lightning striking in the same place twice is rare enough as it is. Third time. I really doubt it. 10 seconds to go on the clock. Final few corners. The timer has fully elapsed, folks. Meaning that in the last few corners, we will have the winner of the race. And it's been hard fought. Hardest that he's ever fought, arguably, in this season thus far. Which gives me hope for the final round. But as we come through to the final couple of corners, it's a familiar face at the sharp end, but it is a welcome competitor nonetheless. It's going to be, of course, David Lindblom, the number 888. He closes in and takes top honours. Well done to him. Although also well done to Jimmy Engdahl. Immaculate battle throughout that entire last 10 minutes. Absolutely immaculate. There's no other way to describe it. There's also been some pleasant surprises up and down the course. Oskari Herme takes that final podium spot for gold in the 3rd place. He continues to impress following his end of season 7 debut and subsequent surprises. He got promoted near immediately, and after a couple of races wobble, he really did show his stuff. So we've had a couple of quick disconnects, so Niesbet, as soon as he crossed the line, disconnected out, but that will be also some great races today. Linatus, winner of silver, and continuing to impress in the silver group. He certainly is fighting at the sharp end, and he knows this championship could be his. One more round will decide. Ostrashaz in a very strong second as well for silver, and then closely following behind as he rounds the final corner, it's James Payton making his way through in the Mercedes AMG. Alex North is going to be taking the win, and in the heat of all that fight, it is going to be Alex North who takes the best position out of all of it. Takes the win for the bronze. Carl Thompson is actually in the pit lane already, but he ended up taking 2nd place. I don't think he actually crossed the line. Makes me question a little bit what exactly happened. It doesn't at least indicate that he crossed the line here. But even so, Robert Homer is actually your 3rd place finisher in the bronze. And ups and downs aside, there have been some brilliant racing moments throughout the entire field. Unfortunately, we can't catch them all, such as the nature of the circuit. But that is where we leave things, folks. Now, before we go, as we tend to do, it's only fair that we tease you with what's to come. And I think you're going to like where we go next. The finale of the season is going to take us to none other than Watkins. Now, Watkins, I have a bit of a soft spot for. I really do have a bit of a soft spot for it. It's one of those tracks that I don't get to see that often, but has always impressed. It's certainly a roller coaster of a course, and it's one that always produces some brilliant racing. But that is where we're going to do it, of course, for tonight, folks. Now, it goes without saying, I want to thank everyone for coming, and I want to thank everyone who stuck with our season thus far. I'm going to be signing off for tonight. I'm going to be getting some Lemsip in me, and I'm going to be getting ready for a nice day tomorrow. But thank you again, folks. Thank you very much. My name's been Ben Sapsford, and I'll see you next time out next week for the finale of the championship. Be there, because you're not going to want to miss the finale. Thank you, everyone, and good night.